The movie, set in the prestigious environment of an exclusive girls' boarding school, tells a compelling and haunting tale. The film's protagonist, Rebecca, is a thoughtful and introspective young woman who finds comfort in penning down her most deep memories in a diary. This practice becomes particularly significant as she struggles to come to terms with a tragic event from her past. 2 years prior, Rebecca's world was shattered by the death of her father, an event that left deep emotional scars. She was a first-hand witness to this harrowing incident in a bathroom, where her father took his own life. This traumatic event continues to baffle and torment Rebecca, as her father appeared content and showed no signs of distress leading up to that fateful day. She grapples with unanswered questions and the incomprehensible nature of his sudden decision to end his life. The narrative then shifts to Rebecca's journey to 𝐂𝐿, an exclusive boarding school, accompanied by her mother. Upon arrival, Rebecca, sensitive to her mother's feelings, insists that her mother need not go through the trouble of escorting her inside. This small but meaningful gesture reflects Rebecca's considerate and mature nature. Once inside the school, Rebecca is reunited with her friends who had arrived earlier. The reunion is filled with warm greetings and a buzz of conversations as they catch up on school matters and reminisce about the things they missed during the break. It's during these interactions that Rebecca is asked about her cherished memories with her father. With a mixture of fondness and sadness, she recounts a particularly serene moment shared with him in nature, where they observed a large moth in flight. This memory, deep and peaceful, symbolizes Rebecca's gradual healing and return to her former self, moving forward from the shadow of her father's mysterious death. However, the story takes a mysterious turn when the school principal arrives at the girls' dormitory. Lucy, one of Rebecca's friends, goes to answer the door. The principal introduces a new transfer student, 𝐿𝐿, who immediately strikes everyone as enigmatic. Rebecca, having glimpsed 𝐿𝐿 earlier in the lobby, feels an inexplicable sense of unease. She senses that there is something concealed behind 𝐿𝐿's penetrating stare, setting the stage for a story of intrigue and hidden secrets within the walls of the boarding school. As the school year commences at the exclusive girls' boarding school, the rhythm of academic life picks up pace, enveloping everyone in a flurry of activities. Amongst this bustling environment, 𝐿𝐿, the mysterious new transfer student, begins to gravitate towards Lucy, who happens to be Rebecca's closest friend. This new development starts to unsettle Rebecca, especially since maintaining her friendship with Lucy now seemingly requires spending time with 𝐿𝐿 as well. One day, as Lucy is attending to the task of cleaning Rebecca's shoes, a chore that Rebecca finds challenging due to the particular nature of the shoes, 𝐿𝐿 intervenes. She insists that Lucy should not bother with such tasks and offers to take over, implying that Rebecca has been unfairly burdening Lucy with these duties. This insinuation causes discomfort and confusion, as it paints Rebecca in an unflattering light, suggesting that she has been exploiting Lucy's kindness. Rebecca's unease with 𝐿𝐿 grows one night when she spots her outside through her dormitory window. It's an unusual sight, given the late hour and the general reluctance of students to venture out at such times. When Rebecca looks again, 𝐿𝐿 has mysteriously vanished, leaving Rebecca bewildered and concerned. She shares this strange occurrence with her friends the following day, and they decide to investigate 𝐿𝐿's nocturnal activities. However, their attempt to follow her leads nowhere, and they return with more questions than answers. The narrative takes a darker turn during a small dormitory gathering. As the students engage in lively dancing and fun, Rebecca suddenly feels unwell. Struggling with her breathing, she collapses onto her bed, observing the festivities from a distance. Among the dancing figures, she notices 𝐿𝐿 sitting calmly on a nearby couch. In a disorienting moment, Rebecca experiences a vivid hallucination where 𝐿𝐿 seems to be holding her down, whispering chilling words about her sharing the same blood as her late father. This hallucination, blurring the lines between reality and delusion, leaves Rebecca shaken and terrified. Amidst this confusion, another student, Charlie, unexpectedly throws a chair through a window, disrupting the party and shocking everyone. The reasons behind Charlie's sudden outburst remain unclear, adding to the growing sense of unease. The school's response is swift and uncompromising, leading to Charlie's expulsion. As her friends bid her a somber farewell, They can't help but lament how a single moment at the party led to such a drastic turn in Charlie's life. Rebecca, deeply troubled by these events, can't shake off the feeling that Ernessa is somehow connected to all these unsettling occurrences. However, she finds herself isolated in her suspicions, lacking any tangible proof to support her claims. This sense of helplessness and the inability to convince others of Ernessa's involvement weigh heavily on Rebecca, as she struggles to make sense of the strange and creepy happenings at the boarding school. Soon after, Rebecca's journey takes a more ominous turn as she delves into a book recommended by one of her teachers, Mr. Davies. While immersed in the book, she stumbles upon a passage describing vampires, creatures of the night who prey on human souls, exercising their will and power over the living. Intrigued and alarmed by this revelation, Rebecca seeks further clarification from Mr. Davies in his office. Through their conversation, she begins to piece together a troubling theory. Ernessa's presence at the school might be malevolent, and she could be a danger to everyone around her. Later that night, driven by a mixture of curiosity and dread, Rebecca decides to explore further. She enters her friend Dora's room, finding it empty. Seizing the opportunity, she slips out through the window and stealthily makes her way to Ernessa's room. Once there, she is immediately captivated by a moth fluttering towards the window. As she gazes out at the full moon, a strange energy seems to overtake her, compelling her to step closer to the edge. In a heart-stopping moment, she nearly falls, but Dora, having returned unexpectedly, catches her just in time, pulling her back to safety. Dora, concerned and confused, demands to know what Rebecca is doing there at such a late hour. Regaining her composure, Rebecca confesses her intention to investigate Ernessa's room. Peering inside, Rebecca is shocked to see a swarm of moths, but Dora remains skeptical, finding it hard to believe her friend's claims. They agree to watch together, and to their utter disbelief, they witness Ernessa floating eerily into the room through a closed window. The sight leaves them both breathless and questioning the reality of what they've just seen. Dora suggests they discuss it further in the morning, but the encounter leaves an unsettling feeling hanging in the air. The next morning, Rebecca is jolted awake by a commotion outside. As she steps into the corridor, she finds a crowd gathered around Dora's room. Approaching with a growing sense of dread, Rebecca makes her way to the window where they had stood the night before. To her horror, she sees Dora's lifeless body lying on the ground below, with police officers swarming the scene. Overwhelmed and unable to bear the sight, Rebecca flees from the room. In the midst of her shock and grief, she overhears Ernessa speaking to the police, claiming she was in a deep sleep and heard nothing from the room next to hers, which belonged to Dora. Following the tragic and shocking death of a student who fell from her dormitory window, the boarding school attempts to return to its usual routine. Rebecca, deeply affected by the recent events, is offered by her mother the option to transfer to another school. However, Rebecca, showing a sense of determination and resilience, decides to stay and return to school. Internally, she wrestles with the haunting images she witnessed that night. Trying to rationalize the situation, she convinces herself that what she saw must have been a figment of her imagination, fueled by her growing resentment towards Ernessa for drawing her best friend Lucy away from her. In the midst of these turbulent emotions, Rebecca encounters Lucy and takes a step towards mending their strained relationship. She apologizes for her recent behavior, and Lucy, in a gesture of reconciliation, encourages Rebecca to extend her acceptance to Ernessa as well. When Ernessa approaches them, Rebecca finds herself feeling deeply uncomfortable, still unable to shake her suspicions and unease around Ernessa. As days pass, Rebecca becomes increasingly worried about Lucy's health. She observes a concerning decline in Lucy's appetite and tries to encourage her to eat, fearing for her well-being. Despite her efforts, Lucy stubbornly refuses food, leaving Rebecca feeling helpless. Although Rebecca wants to maintain harmony in their friendship, she can't help but silently attribute Lucy's deteriorating condition to Ernessa's influence. In the classroom, the tension escalates when the principal announces the detention of students who have recently broken school rules. Ernessa is among those named, and as her punishment is declared, she directs a chilling glare towards the teacher assigned to discipline her. This moment only deepens Rebecca's growing alarm and suspicion towards Ernessa. Later, as Rebecca and another student are waiting for Lucy, who has gone to meet her boyfriend, they stumble upon a horrifying discovery: a dead body on the school grounds. The school soon informs the students that the deceased is Mrs. Bobby, the teacher who was set to discipline Ernessa. This shocking news solidifies Rebecca's belief that there is something sinister about Ernessa, and she can no longer dismiss her feelings as mere imagination. Determined to seek guidance and possibly find some answers, Rebecca decides to confide in her teacher, Mr. Davies. She chooses him not only because of his role as an educator, but also because of his admiration for her father's writings. In Mr. Davies, Rebecca hopes to find an understanding ear and perhaps some insight into the increasingly disturbing and unexplainable events that are unfolding at the school. The narrative intensifies as Rebecca, burdened by her growing fears and suspicions, turns to Mr. Davies for support. During a candid confession of her worries, she hopes to find understanding and guidance from her teacher. However, Mr. Davies dismisses her concerns, attributing them to her overactive imagination and restlessness. This dismissal results in an unexpected and inappropriate moment when Mr. Davies and Rebecca share a kiss. Rebecca, taken aback and frustrated by the lack of belief in her fears, pulls away, feeling angry and even more isolated in her struggle to make sense of the strange events at school. The situation becomes more dire when Lucy, Rebecca's friend who has been growing increasingly weak due to a refusal to eat, is hospitalized. Rebecca is convinced that Ernessa is somehow responsible for Lucy's deteriorating health, but she finds herself alone in this belief. In the beginning, Rebecca visits Lucy regularly in the hospital, trying to offer support. However, as Lucy's condition worsens and reaches a critical point, the doctors restrict visitor access, barring even Rebecca from seeing her. Amidst this turmoil, Rebecca is stunned to learn from a fellow student that Lucy's condition is reportedly improving. She questions how this student knows about Lucy's health, given the visiting restrictions, and learns that Ernessa has been sharing updates. This revelation infuriates Rebecca, who cannot comprehend why Ernessa is allowed access to Lucy while she, her best friend, is not. Confronting the principal with her frustration, Rebecca faces another painful blow when Lucy, speaking through the principal, tells Rebecca that she is no longer the person she once was and accuses Rebecca of failing to see the truth. This rejection devastates Rebecca, further alienating her from her friend. Time passes, and Lucy shows signs of a temporary recovery, which only heightens Rebecca's suspicions. She can't shake the feeling that Ernessa is orchestrating these events to draw Lucy closer and ultimately harm her, just as she believes Ernessa has done with their other friends. Rebecca's worst fears seem to materialize one night when she awakens to a chilling scene. She rushes outside to witness Lucy and Ernessa rising into the air, surrounded by a flurry of moths. In a surreal and horrifying moment, both vanish, leaving behind only the moths. When Rebecca finally locates Lucy on the ground, her heart sinks as she discovers that Lucy is dead. Rebecca then becomes a solitary figure in her quest to unravel the sinister mysteries enveloping her boarding school since Ernessa's arrival. Her suspicions about Ernessa, which are dismissed by everyone around her, only intensify her resolve to seek the truth. As she delves deeper into her investigation, she finds herself increasingly isolated in her pursuit of answers, with no one to share her growing apprehension and fears. In a particularly harrowing moment, Rebecca has a chilling encounter with Ernessa in the library. Ernessa cruelly taunts Rebecca, bringing up the painful subject of her father's death. This confrontation leaves Rebecca deeply shaken, yet she remains steadfast in her cherished memories of her father, refusing to let Ernessa's tormenting words sway her. The tension reaches a terrifying peak when Ernessa, in a disturbing display, inflicts harm upon herself. She cuts her own wrists and lets blood fall over both herself and Rebecca, while singing an eerie children's song known as "The Juniper Tree." This act further unsettles Rebecca, especially when she opens her eyes to find that Ernessa and the blood have mysteriously vanished, leaving a haunting emptiness in their wake. Driven by her determination to uncover the truth, Rebecca manages to steal the keys to the basement. There, she makes a startling discovery: an ancient trunk bearing Ernessa's name, filled with soil. She also finds a diary from 1907, which reveals that Ernessa had stayed at Brangwyn when it was a hotel, following her father's death. The diary details how Ernessa, overwhelmed by grief, took her own life in a bathtub. This revelation clarifies Ernessa's intentions. She has been trying to drive Rebecca to death, making Rebecca her intended victim all along. In a desperate attempt to put an end to the nightmare, Rebecca takes drastic action. She douses the trunk, with Ernessa sleeping inside, in kerosene and sets it ablaze. Ernessa screams as she is engulfed in flames and topples backward into the fire. As fire engines rush to the scene, Rebecca witnesses what she believes to be Ernessa's spirit walking outside the building before disappearing into the sunlight. In the final scene, Rebecca is seen on her way to the police station, wanted for questioning in the aftermath of the fire. Confident that Ernessa won't have left any evidence behind, as her physical body has vanished, Rebecca discards the razor blade from her diary out of the window. Despite the profound losses she has endured, losing friends in such a short time, Rebecca's face brightens with a sense of newfound independence. Free from Ernessa's haunting influence, she steps into an uncertain future as the movie draws to a close. Did this story spook you out? Let us know in the comments below. For more horror movie recaps, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you in the next one. Fear awaits you.